Yo, this is Big Bad Spike with another informative video, man. Today, what I'm going to do, or I've taken time out, especially for my younger cats, my younger viewers, you dig what I'm saying, who's never been, like, incarcerated, you never went to lockup, you never been around the big boys, you know, you want to play gangster, but I'm going to show you what gangster really is, man. So, a lot of people know I spent well over 20 years behind bars, 18 and a half flat, straight across the board, almost 19 years flat, 20 years altogether. In TDCJ, did time with Pimp C, did time with Smith D, a Face Mob, a rapper, well-known rapper I know, and I spent a lot of my time in the joint. But what I want to show you is what it's like, the conditions, right? So this is my bathroom right here. And my bathroom is about the size of probably one of those cell blocks, right? And I'm going to take you in it because I transformed my bathroom and I want you guys to see exactly what it would feel like, right? So imagine being in here 23 hours out the day, because 1 hour you come out, 22 hours. 1 hour you come out to wreck, and 1 hour you would come out to just shower and do all of those things like that, move around. So we're gonna go up in here and we're gonna check it out, right? All right, boom. So basically, you're in a little spot or a little, you know, space like this, and this is my small bathroom, right? Of course, your toilet would be right here, right? This would be your toilet, right? And you gotta excuse some of the things in here because, you know, I had some renovations done when they had a freeze and the water and the pipes bust, so all of my ceiling came down. But, you know, it's good to go. This would be the little area. Let me get some better lighting in here. So boom, there we go. All right, here we go. So this would be your makeshift cell block, right? This little space right here. This space right here would be, this would be your, okay, here we go. This space right here would probably be where you set all of your condiments. They have a table right here, right? And of course, where I'm sitting at, this would be your bunk. This would be, you know, this is the pillow. And this is the makeshift, let me sit down here on this end. But this would be your bunk, right? All right, this is my hot pot, which I took this from my blender just to show y'all what it would be like. This would be your hot pot, right? And of course, I got real live ramen noodles, top ramen. This would be your ramen noodles. And if Smith D see this, he probably know. That's the Regal Graham, famous Regal Grahams. They actually sell these in prison. You got your Regal Grahams. Of course, you got your little snack cookies. You got your water. You got, you know, all of your stuff. You got your cups. And I got my books. You dig? So just imagine being able to sit in this area. And I got this made like a bunk. This will be your pillow. And of course, you gotta sneak and keep a trash bag to make a water bag out to work out with. Because we don't have weights. We would have to work out or do push-ups. So just imagine being in this place or this kind of space for a long period of time. Let me fix this right now. So imagine being in this space for a long period of time. And I'm gonna tell y'all a quick story about, you know, being in a space like this. When I was there, I used to work the night shift. And night shift, I was a porter. And porter, you would sweep, right? You would sweep from one area, and they assign areas. Like, I mostly work in segregation. Segregation is where lockup was, and this is like lockup. It's a little, I mean, my cell was so small, like I can touch both sides of the wall. That's just how small it was, right? Now you talking about spending years, countless years in here in space like this, you know. So once you're in a space like this for so long, it becomes, you become conditioned. It's like putting a dog in a cage. When you lift that cage up and that dog just run in that cage and sit down, that's how it becomes when you become incarcerated. That's what they call institutionalized. You become institutionalized, meaning you know your place, you know where to go, you know how to, conduct yourself, right? But anyway, back to the story, right? I used to work as a porter. And for the sake of not putting his name out there, I remember this brother named Chucky, right? Little Chuck. Let's call him Chucky. Now, Chuck was 17 years old. Chuck was out of Dallas. Chuck worked as a porter also. I used to call him Webster. He was short, little short dude. I'm talking about, he had a baby face. He was just you would be surprised, like, why are you locked up? Surprisingly, Chuck was locked up for murder, right? Something happened in a dispute or something where some people were shot. Chucky shot some people, and these people expired, right? So anyway, Chucky out of Dallas. So a lot of people knew Chucky that was from out of Dallas. Me being out of Houston, Dallas and Houston, they rarely got together in prison. A lot of people can attest for that. Dallas and Houston always had beef. Just like it was inner beef within Fort Worth and, certain sections of D-Town. It was always just like as intersection beef when you're in a county jail. There was intersection beef in Houston from the south side and the north side or Fifth Ward. You know what I'm saying? So that type of thing went on. But when you got to prison, TDC, it was a whole different animal. So anyway, back to the story as far as Chucky. So Chuck was a porter also. Chuck was 17 years old, locked up for murder. It was 4 of us. So we used to hit these wings. And Chuck was, average dude, you know what I'm saying? He played ball, he ran around on the yard. We all lived in different quarters. Like some people lived out in they would call it trustee farm. I lived on the cell block, on the wing. Some people lived in trustee farm where you go in and out the doors and you live. It's more, you had S4s, you had line 1s, you had S3s and S2s. That's trustee. Trustee just means a better status. You get to move around more. Where I lived, you didn't get to move. There was cell bars, cell doors. You had to wait for someone to open the door and you could get to move around. But anyway, Chuck, young cat, dude used to always, I had a couple other porters that they used to act different around Chuck. And I used to wonder why they was acting different around Chuck. I didn't even know Chuck, a history. I just know he was a little dude, too young to be where he was, but he was there. But anyway, it was a couple of cats out of D-Town. They boxed, right? These dudes were boxers, and they was known on the unit. And let me tell you the unit. The unit we was on was Terror Unit. Terror Unit was a different unit. This is outside of Darrington. Terror Unit was like the unit where it was like death row. It's one of the most violent units back then. That's where they kept death row. A lot of inmates were there. But anyway, Chuck was there with me, and we would go work as a porter.
Let's take a look at the Texas prison system and 3 of its most dangerous facilities. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice operates the largest prison system in the United States. In 2020, it held 135,906 offenders. The Texas legislature passed an act to establish a state penitentiary in 1848. Texas DCJ operates 92 state facilities, which includes prison, pre-release facilities, and psychiatric facilities. With over 37,000 employees, it operates with over a $3 billion budget. The starting pay for a correctional officer in Texas is $41,674, with additional pay for officers working in a maximum security unit. Texas prisons have 5 security levels, with G5 being the highest general population level. Administrative segregation is used for inmates needing close custody supervision. Texas prisons are notorious for some not having air conditioning. I can only imagine the summer Texas heat in a concrete and steel building. That only adds to the punishment these inmates are receiving. Some civil rights groups have called the lack of air conditioning a violation of the 8th Amendment, outlawing cruel and unusual punishment. 36% of prisons have on-site housing for employees, which staff pay a small price for. The first prison in Texas is located in Huntsville and still operates to this day. Huntsville Unit, also known as Walls Unit due to its distinctive red brick wall.
I'm coming out of the fields and working as a porter, and it's at midnight. At midnight, all of the freaky stuff happened at midnight. When the doors close and the cell blocks close, you hear all kind of moans and groans at night. A lot of times I wouldn't even pay attention to it. I would just keep on, doing my job. I would sweep. Once you sweep one wing, you go to the next wing. You go up on one row, two row. And one thing, when you pass by these cell bar doors, I would never peep off into the door. I would just sweep, keep my head down, keep it moving. Because a lot of these guys will be in they cell blocks or in their doors, probably looking at the woman in the picket. They be in there masturbating. Some dudes in there just, they fighting. Some dudes in there, they arguing. Some dudes in there just got the towel over the door. I don't know what, it's a lot of stuff going on. But the thing about doing time, you mind your business and you keep it pushing. But anyway, Lil Chuck, one day I just seen him sitting on the stairs and he was bruised up. Like he had a little mark right here. Lil Chuck is a little dude. I used to call him Webster. That's just how little he was. So I seen Chuck on he usually joke and kick it with me a little bit, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't know nothing about Chuck, because me and Chuck stay out in the trustee form. I stayed in the cell block. Totally two different environments. So Chuck was sitting on the stairs. He was all battered and bruised, seen some bruises on him. Like, man, what's up, man? Who got a hold of you? So Chuck was kind of quiet, didn't say nothing. So one of the trustees came by and he tapped me, called me down the way. So I came down the way to see what he was talking about. He said, man, Chuck is, Chuck gay, right? I'm like, gay? What you mean Chuck gay? He said, yeah, Chuck is, Chuck is a boy. Chuck belonged to somebody. So I found that hard to believe. Because I've been working with Chuck some months. I ain't never, seen no funny business. I never seen any kind of reaction from Chuck. But anyway, one of the dudes that he told me was Chuck boy was a cat out of Dallas named Swade Wade. A lot of people know Swade Wade out of Dallas, man. Swade Wade was a boxing summer gun. Matter of fact, Swade Wade was one of my biggest supporters. But when I heard that, like I said, a lot of things we take for face value. When someone says something, you really don't believe it offset. You don't believe it off the jump. Excuse me. You don't believe it off the jump, but you keep it in the back of your mind. But anyway, so when I heard that, I kind of wanted to dig into it a little more. So when I found out that, he was, I just couldn't fathom in my mind someone this. And Swade Wade was built. I'm talking about he was like Tyson built. If you know how Mike Tyson was built, that's how Swade Wade was built. Swade Wade was out of Dallas. Boxing summer gun. I'm talking about he boxed professional. I want to say he boxed Golden Gloves and he boxed a little professionally outside of there. But it was a brother named, it was a couple other brothers I was on the unit with that were like real, they were good with their hands, man. I'm not going to say that I was prolific with my hands, but I was good. I was good enough to where I can get down enough to where they would respect. Coming from me, they would respect, the hands. But I never had to go through that because I was an orator. You know what I'm saying? I was a rapper. Everybody knew I could spit. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I was kind of like the Pac. I was like Pac of the penitentiary, except I was more lyrical and I was more orchestrated. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a lot of people from other places that was, and they knew I was from New Orleans, but they knew that I came out of Houston. And a lot of times people don't accept you, especially from Dallas, if you in Texas. So I was around a lot of cats out of New York, out of Jersey that was locked up in Texas, dudes that had federal cases, drug cases, all kind of cases. You know what I'm saying? So But anyway, back to Chuck. When I found out about Chuck, you know, I kind of like had a conversation with Chuck. Chuck told me he had a murder case out of Dallas. He was certified as a child at 15. He was in the county, and in the county, some brothers encountered Chuck, and they took Chuck, man. They raped Chuck. They raped Chuck in the county. And these dudes that raped Chuck, you know, passed the word on. And these are brothers, man. It really hurt me to my core when I found out like these are like brothers would actually do this. Then I found, you know, then I came to the realization everybody that's your brother, I mean that's your skin color ain't your kind. And you have to be very careful about doing time and who who you claim. Matter of fact, Chuck was I want to say Chuck was some type of gang member. I'm not going to say the gang because I don't want no one feeling any kind of way about it. But yeah, he was affiliated. But even though he was affiliated, the same people he was affiliated with was the people who raped him. Then when he get to TDC, and this boy was just a kid. He wasn't even like, and that's the thing about it, man, they predatory. So that's why when I was in there, I rarely made friends. I really just sat down as myself. I read my books, you know what I'm saying? I read my books, kept away from everyone, you know. I didn't ask for food and stuff like that. Never asked for food, never asked for anything. But anyway, Chuck told me that they took him in the county. And he had tears in his eyes, man. He was sitting there crying. And it hurt me. I'll never forget that, man. It just hurt me to the point where I had tears in my eyes, man. And he was telling me how he was like, you know, he's just a kid. I'm just a child, man. And everything they asked me to do, I did. I did. They told me, come in this cell, come with me, I'm gonna protect you, do this. I got food. He had his people sending money to his books. His mom was a school teacher. Sending money to his books. He was giving them guys commissary. He was doing this, and they still raped him. They still took him. And after that, he just kind of like, because I think he had a life sentence. I want to say that Chuck is still locked up. So, at 15 years old, and at this time, he was like 20, maybe he was 19, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, he's about 19 years old. Because when I first got there, that was my first unit I hit, terror unit. But back to Chuck, it brought tears to my eyes, man. I was like, man, this is a kid, man. It's like my little brother's age. You know what I'm saying? And they raped him. And then the dude that supposedly was his boy, was his owner, was a dude that, I kind of like, I ain't gonna say I looked up to, but I respected him. That's one thing about being in a joint. You respect dudes who got hands. You respect him, and this dude worked out. He was on the weightlifting team. He squatted like 5 something. This dude was like, man, he was a very serious cat in the joint, man. He called shots in Dallas. So to hear that, it just kind of broke me. Matter of fact, later on, I'll tell that story where Sway Wade, and that's his name, Sway Wade. Matter of fact, I don't even know what Sway Wade is, and I'm not trying to put Sway Wade out there, because like I said, I respected the cat, man, but someone told me, they told me, yeah, that's Sway Wade's boy. And I'm just like, what? Like, what? So, but I wanted to show you guys, man, especially for you young guys, man, this is what it's like, man, right here. Right here. Soups. And this is where you sit. This is your bunk. This is your bunk. Of course, ain't no women there, brother. So, boom. Voila. There you go. Hey, Brenda. This is Brenda. This becomes Brenda. Yeah, so, I mean, that's what it is, man. I think I'm going to go into depth, talk a little bit more about life in there. Some real serious stories outside of like Pimp C, outside of like Smith D, outside of like the rap. But I'm talking about real life stuff, like a couple of killings that happened. I even have the news clips, a couple of escapes that happened. I have the news clips. They even filmed movies, a movie where I was. I have the movie clip where they filmed the movie. My time there, a couple of fights I got into. But more than but overall, I had a lot of love, And I think I did time like uncomparable to anybody ever did time. Like, I really didn't have a lot of issues because people genuinely like had a genuine love for me in terms of like the things that the way I talked, the way I acted, and I'm the same person, never changed, you know. So, and a lot of them cats, they'll see this. And matter of fact, I'll put some clips where some cats met me like maybe almost 15 years later, and we was at the gym, we was doing the boxing thing, and these cats, you know, real familiar. One of the cats, Prince Rashid, you know what I'm saying? Prince Rashid, and he was certified as a child, and he went to the penitentiary. You know, I did time with him, and of course, I think he was with Charleston White at some time with Charleston White. Matter of fact, there's some clips of him and Charleston White. He went to visit, Charleston White went to visit him at his farm that his family left to him. Good brother, man. Good brother, great brother, man. We're gonna do some big things, man. We was trying to get together to do an On the Yard podcast. But yeah, man, so in this little space, just imagine being in this little space, homies. Being in this little space for 24, maybe 22 hours a day. You got your toilet right here, you know, and this is what it is. So a lot of times I will be pacing around. You see me pacing. That comes from being locked up. That's what that comes from. That comes from being locked up. So yeah, I turned my bathroom into a makeshift prison cell just to show you guys, man, like, it ain't no joke. I mean, people talk about it. A lot of times I don't like talking about it because it's not a good feeling. There's always a traumatic feeling. There's always, you know, there's always some bad things that come up. It was some good times in there, and it was a good time because it was growing pains. It wasn't good times as far as like something to celebrate. You know what I'm saying? The good times are just starting to happen, man. Me traveling, me going to certain places, me doing certain things, me meeting brothers that are extraordinary, brothers that are super talented. I'm talking about your Richie Max, your Bet Out of Debts, your Tailor-Made Dreams, you know, Chocolate Man in Thailand. You know, you meet so many good brothers, man. Moxie approved. So, you know, it's all in how you move and how you transition from coming from this situation. And trust me, while I was there, I read over 20,000 books. So I had books upon books upon books. And I wrote every day. I would beat on the bunk and rap. Yeah, so all this come back to memory, man. Beating on the bunk, rapping. Dudes would be crossed the other way, be like, man, go on, hit something for us. But this is just part one, man. Big Bass Life. Stay tuned, man. More to come, man. More stuff. FBA. Stand up. You dig what I'm saying? And I'll get back with you. Alright?
Me and my friends tried this trend. Who got the most hoes?
None of you guys got hoes. You know why? Because you're in prison. So how about trying to make prison seem cool and do all these trends on TikTok? Why don't you take your phone and preach to the youth about how not to get in trouble?
T-bag got a lot more ass, nothing about me average. Nigga get mad and they act like you never had a motherfucking bad. Chasing these chickens, pop out. Hit it, I'm gone, you drop by. Box don't belong to you, cock block. Got so many files, need to drop out. New Orleans, wet, mop. Dreadhead, bomber clock, top pop. Talk your shit, let her bop. Fall asleep, call the beat, wop. Dancing in the club or the drop top. Just like a fuck nigga, yap. Pull up in the cut, hit a pop. That's why I'm moving like Tupac.